Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I don't normally do 3 videos in a day, but when I do, it's a good one like this one. I think that what I'm about to show you will be a pretty big eye-opener. And I want to start by getting you to recall. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to lead you down the path that I went down, and then I'm going to let it is what it is. You'll see exactly where I'm coming from at the end of this video. I've been talking about the other day. I told you my father, he wanted to know. He said before I really am sold on XRP and what this all really is, I need to know where are Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan on this, because nothing in the financial world is going to happen without Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, and I agree with it. So this video was going to be about my showing you about Goldman Sachs, but that's just where I started. When you see where I end up, it might blow a few minds. Okay, I started with who owns Goldman Sachs, because Goldman Sachs is an entity and it has several private and public owners. So I just typed that in Google, and this is a Motley Fool article that came up. It's publicly owned 30%, institutions own 68%, insiders 1.78%. I'm really just interested in these big institutional shareholders. The first one is BlackRock. They own 5.79% of Goldman Sachs. So in essence, BlackRock is Goldman Sachs, right? I also would like to draw your attention to State Street Global Advisors, who own 3.98% of Goldman Sachs, and remind you that State Street also owns it's one of the largest shareholders in SBI Holdings, which owns 10.5% of Ripple. But let's go back to BlackRock. BlackRock owns 5.79% of Goldman Sachs. So I went to BlackRock's website and I found, first I looked at the Chief Executive Officer. This is Lawrence D. Fink. He's the founder, chairman, and Chief Executive Officer of BlackRock. I was just reading the guy's bio. I was just skimming through here. And this right here jumped off the page at me. He serves on the board of trustees of New York University and the World Economic Forum. All right. We've seen some pretty cool news come out of the World Economic Forum in Davos this year. There's some documents. I'll show you the document at the end for those of you that haven't seen it. But what you're about to see is the way things in the business world are made to happen. And I've believed from 2013 until today that Ripple was the design of Ripple and the connections of Ripple was something much larger than any of us could even see. And I believe it more. You'll believe it even more after you watch this video. So if you're Ripple, how do you get in all these doors, and then they're working on the Interledger protocol becoming designated as the protocol with the W3C. Remember all of this? And then we see that document come out of the World Economic Forum, right? And it's got as inter and intrabank digital asset. They list JP Morgan coin and they list XRP, and those are the only two. And I'll show you that at the end. So this is where my journey started, and this isn't too long of a journey, but you got to see this. So we've got Larry Fink, and when I see that he is on the board of trustees at the World Economic Forum, I've never looked at who's on the board at the World Economic Forum, so I decided to go take a look. Leadership and governance of the World Economic Forum. There's not that many of them. You can see them in a picture right here. This will be my thumbnail for this video, but you can see them right here in a picture. I see Al Gore. Remember, just as a funny side note, Al Gore said he created the internet. But anyway, moving along. So this is the guy that started, this Klaus Schwab is the guy that started the World Economic Forum. But I was looking at all of these people, and I said, you know what I'm going to do? We know that Mark Carney, we've talked a lot about Mark Carney, but I was going to go person by person through here and just see if anything jumped out at me. So I went and I found two. There were two that jumped out at me just because I was like, it was like one of those, two. All right. The first one is down here. This guy, Tharman, I clicked on his name, and here's what comes up. Let me see if I can get this to show. All right. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Senior Minister, Singapore, and Chairman, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Prime Minister's Office, Singapore. Well, Singapore, we've heard a lot of this having to do with Ripple, but I did a video this morning. I did a video, and this right here was in the video. Since 2019, Deputy Chairman, Government of Singapore Investment Corporation, GIC. Okay, and since 2011, Chair of its Investment Strategies Committee. This is the company that handles the finances of Singapore. Well, here's what's interesting. Look at this guy. Now, this is the Prime Minister of Singapore, and the very second guy, the second man in charge, is the guy with the World Economic Forum. What does this have to do with Ripple? Well, let me show you what it has to do with Ripple. From my video earlier today, one of Ripple's strategic advisors is Anthony Lim. And Anthony Lim is a strategic advisor. He was previously managing director and president Americas at Singapore's sovereign wealth fund GIC Private Ltd. During his 20-year tenure at GIC, Anthony was involved in many senior manager roles based in London and New York. So my point is, here's our link to the World Economic Forum of the people that run the show. This is your link right here, from Ripple straight to them, okay? And then at the end, like I said, I'll show you what happened. Now, we've got ourselves another link who's on this board at the World Economic Forum. And this name jumped out at me. And the reason it jumped out at me is because I remembered some kind of a tweet. I just randomly remembered a tweet, and I was wrong because I was thinking about the university blockchain initiative with Ripple and how a Japanese university had joined it. And I saw this and I was like, I wonder if that's the same university. So I went and checked Twitter on Keio University. Well, so Keio University, there was only one context that it came up in Twitter with regard to Ripple. It was a tweet by Ripple in 2015. Web Standards Officer and what's this person's name? Adrian Hope Bailey will speak at W3C Keio University Web Payments Seminar on. So this whole organization right here, Ripple went. This was for the purpose of ILP being declared the Internet Protocol or the Internet of Value Protocol. All right, but that the only hit that I got was Keio University. So I go back to this guy and looked at his name, and you know how my wheels were turning. I said to myself, now wait a minute. Let me put this guy's name in Google and type in SBI and see what comes up. And sure enough, he is also, this is his name right here, he is also on the board at Oryx, SBI Holdings Inc. Forum. There you go, right there. There are two people with direct links to Ripple that are on the board of directors at the World Economic Forum. And so when you wonder how things like this came out of Davos, remember, those of you that don't know, this came out of Davos this year. Central Bank Digital Currency Policymaker Toolkit, Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And here you will see it. From Ian Northing. Boom, WES CBDC Policymaker Toolkit mentions Ripple XRP on page 17. Wait for it. And this is what it was for those of you that don't know. They have sent this packet out to all the central banks of the world that are members of the World Economic Forum. And right here, crypto assets designed for interbank or intrabank payments and settlements. Examples, JPM Coin, Ripple's XRP. How do you get to this place, folks? I give you two guys with direct links to Ripple, and let's finish by looking at this. Remember, we keep going back to this. In 2017 to 2020, Ripple becomes the standard for international money transfers between banks, ILP, becomes the standard protocol for connecting banks' cash ledgers as a part of Ripple software. And this is the tweet that links to this guy, Keio University, and Ripple. Their people are going there from and presenting at the. So this right here to me really shows you one of the two of the pathways straight to the World Economic Forum that have allowed a lot of this stuff to be pulled off. And I thought this was fascinating. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that Ripple has direct ties to two people on the board of directors at the World Economic Forum. I do not know if anybody else has uncovered this, but this is the first time that I've seen it. Thank you for listening.